I can prove within however many minutes long this video is that every single Sega game is connected in some way and will eventually lead into a big finale with Sega Endgame, where every single Sega franchise comes together with one big climactic event that will be like the most important event in video game history. This has been the plan since Sega started video game development 60 years ago, ever since Ian Flynn Sr. put pen to paper to write the first ever Sega script, to start writing this multiverse that spans over the span of half a century, and only I have noticed this is all happening, and I'm going to tell this to you today. This will all lead into one big giant climactic event where every single Sega franchise will come together and create Sega Endgame. It'll be the most important video game event in history, where every character, Sonic, Kiryu, Ichiban, they all come together and make this just massive event, the biggest game of all time. And I believe that phase 1 of the SCU is coming to a close early next year with the release of Stranger Than Heaven, which will be a massive part of lore for the series that just hasn't been explained. It's not a prequel to Yakuza, it's prequel to every single Sega game. This video is straight facts. You can't argue this. You haven't got anything against my theory. My theory is just correct. There's no way to prove me wrong. I am just spitting straight facts, frankly. And you're going to listen and you're going to accept this. And late next year, when I'm proven right, you'll be coming back to this video and you'll be treating my words like gospel. First, some just ground rules so things don't get too out of hand here. First, DLC doesn't count. It's unlikely that Sega actually intends any DLC to actually be a big part of the SCU. It's most likely just made for money. You know, they have to fund this some way, and Kiwami 3 isn't going to fund that itself. Like, just because there's Persona 5 skins in Sonic Forces, or there's going to be Persona 5 skins in Fortnite soon, it doesn't mean that's canon either. Like, just because Sonic the Hedgehog appears in Little Big Planet doesn't make Little Big Planet canon to the Sonic series. It's just a reference, it's just DLC, it's for us fans. Like, you know, just because Marvel's in Little Big Planet doesn't make that canon to the MCU, neither does it to the SCU. It's just for fans. Games like Persona 5 The Phantom X and also like Sonic Rumble don't count as lore either. Number one, because I think they're mostly non-canon either way, like especially Sonic Rumble, but also they're gacha slop, or I don't think Rumble is, but it's still shit. And like, it's just made to milk money from fans. It's not made from passion from Ian Flynn. Like, it's just made for money. You know, Yoko Yama never had any like input on this. It's just purely to add money to Sega's bank account to fund Sega Endgame. I'm also not just counting game collections themselves as links together, like things like the game room from the Sega Mega Drive collection on Switch, it doesn't link them together automatically. That's just a way to link games together in a collection. A collection isn't itself a continuation between games. Like, just because Echo the Dolphin and Sonic 3D not World Blast appear in a collection together, that doesn't mean that they're both canon to the same universe. First off, we need to get to the basic links, and also subscribe. I've got no subscribers, so please subscribe.
This one is for all our fans.
But Jesse, we don't have any fans.
We will after they hear this.
I'm not going to spend too much time on these basic links, most people already know these already, but like, I'm just going to get them out of the way, just so like people on Twitter don't complain. It also just proves Sega's been like preparing for a long time, ever since like the arcade days, ever since the Mega Drive. This has been the long-term plan. This is really there to prove. First, Sonic the Hedgehog in Nights into Dreams. In Sonic Adventure 1, they have a pinball table for Nights. In Sonic Adventure 2, you can make your child look like the Nights character, which I don't know the name of, and I can't be focused on to figure out a Saturn emulator. So, most importantly, the Nights Christmas edition for the original game has the first playable appearance of Sonic the Hedgehog ever, in 3D, not ever. And I see that as like a multiversal thing. Like, this is the first time that both Sonic and Knights collaborated. Sonic going over multiple dimensions, like multiversal travel, like space and time. Like he can just do that along with Eggman, because I'm pretty sure he's in it. I've not played it like a real Sonic fan, but you know. Also, SMT and like Persona connected. Obviously, up to Persona 4, there was this called SMT Persona. Only changing with Persona 4 Golden, I'm pretty sure. And demons from SMT appear in Persona. I'm pretty sure Persona introduces some of the demons that appear in SMT. And also other things like Soul Hackers and Metaphor ReFantazio. They obviously all are part of the same universe to some degree. Monkey Ball's also connected from Banana Mania Deluxe onwards. However, I'm going to get into that later. I've got an explanation for all of that. Stay tuned. Those are like the basic links, like in the grand scheme of things, who really gives a shit? But I think I need to get those out of the way just to make people know this has been the long-term plan. This is the Sega cinematic universe, or not cinematic, but you make SCU, you know, MCU, you understand, you're smart. And just, this isn't just to sell games, this isn't just references, this is an interconnected multiverse made to like pull all of Sega together. All of this matters to every Sega game. You might think one thing when you're playing Sonic Frontiers, you might just think it's a shit story, but no. It might be shit now, but in 20 years time, it'll be Shakespeare, frankly. And we just need to wait. We need to be patient. We just need to be thankful that Sega is doing this for us. And just wait. For a better view though into this Sega's doing this, I think we need to look to a recent release, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. You might think it's crossover slot, just made to sell games through SpongeBob SquarePants, because you're just narrow-minded and I'm not. This is one of the key parts of Sega's plan that will define the next 60 years of Sega. The main lore this game covers is about Dodon Pa. He's like the cultivator of the racing in Team Sonic Racing and Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. I don't know how he gained the multiversal power. They probably explained that in Team Sonic Racing, but I'm not playing that. And it does create questions on why he would do this. So the Sonic Wiki says he's a philanthropist, but just like anyone who does some charity, they're doing charity for another reason. They're not doing it for the kindness of their soul. And I think Dodon Pa hasn't really let on why he's doing this. He's got malicious needs that he's doing through this, and I think I know what. That's why I believe Dodon Pa is a stand-in for God. I think that Dodon Pa is the creator of the multiverse. He's like the central hub. The racing tracks that you play on in Sonic Racing Cross Worlds is his central. He pulled these all together. It's like the TVA from like Marvel, where he's like the center of the multiverse, and he has the power to destroy anything. He has power over the multiverse. He's powerful. He's God. He's the creator of life. He's life himself. And like, I think I know why he's doing this. However, I think the Dodon Pa is doing this to destroy multiverses as well. Like, our God on the 7th day rested, the Dodon Pa on his 7th day destroys. He has like just a need to destroy these universes. He's ripping out the powerful beings held in these universes, like Sonic the Hedgehog, Ichiban Kasuga, and the Red Angry Bird, and using their just absence of their universes, then go in and destroy them. I think this is shown in the upcoming Godzilla track for Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, where whatever universe Godzilla came from, he breached containment and got into the Sonic universe, and he's just destroying Central City. And instead of helping them, all that Sonic the Hedgehog and his friends can do is just watch Godzilla destroy their home, while Dodon Pa is just making them rage for his sick game. And I believe he's the overall threat of the multiverse. Dodon Pa's power isn't just contained to the Sega series, he can also just get anyone he wants. He's got SpongeBob, he's got Mega Man, he's got Pac-Man. He can get anyone he wants. and I think this will end up in Sega Endgame. However, in the grand scheme of the Sega universe, Dodon Pa isn't actually that powerful. I think the main series in the SCU is the series that many Sega fans forget about, and it's actually one of Sega's most popular series, being Yakuza / Like a Dragon, which is my favourite game series. To a simpleton, Yakuza would seem like it's a very basic part of the SCU. It just seems like these homosexual men beating the shit out of each other for pretty petty reasons. However, if you look deeper at it, you'll notice it's the most important series. I want you to boot up any Yakuza game that has Kamurocho in it, which is most of them, and I want you to go to Theatre Square and just look at what's there. There's like little things like bowling and things like that. However, one of the key things there is a Sega arcade. Sega exists in the Yakuza universe. It isn't just a reference, and Sega themselves and all their series seem to exist in the Yakuza series. In almost every Yakuza game after Yakuza 5, you can play some sort of selection of retro Sega games, most of them being arcade games, but however, starting in Lost Judgment, they have Master System games, and in Kiwami 3 and Dark Ties, they have Game Gear games. On top of this, in games like Infinite Wealth and Pirate Yakuza, you can collect music from other Sega games, not as DLC, they're just in the games, they're CDs, which I believe are a commercial product from Sega's popular franchises that they've been selling and that you can collect as the player. This infers to me that the Yakuza series is the core series, with the fake Yakuza Sega creating every other Sega franchise in the multiverse. It does put into question how powerful Dodon Pa is, if he's just a bitch to Sega, or if he's some sort of like Michael Afton kind of thing, where he's like haunting this machine that's like Sega's servers, and he can just corrupt anything he wants to. We'll see that in the future. If you're a bit thick, you might be saying something stupid like, how is Yakuza the core universe when characters like Ichiban appear in games like Sonic Racing Cross Worlds? And I have a really easy solution to that. They're just famous. First off, Kiryu in games like Super Monkey Ball, where, yeah, obviously, Kiryu's a criminal, like he's killed people. However, other celebrities who have killed people, like Snoop Dogg, are very popular, still get work. And I see in the Yakuza universe that Kiryu being in Super Monkey Ball would be more of like a celebrity endorsement, which is kind of fucked, because when you think about it, when these games released, Kiryu was presumed dead, but however, as we've seen his 2-pack with the real Sega, they're fine with putting dead people in Sega games, so I don't see why the fake Sega would be any different. Sonic Racing Cross Worlds is also very easily explainable. People was confused when Majima were added and it was Pirate Majima instead of just regular Majima. However, what you have to think about, after Pirate Yakuza, that game was like him making a documentary. He basically became a celebrity because of his pirate adventures, so it makes sense why they would add Pirate Majima into Cross Worlds instead of just regular Majima, because Pirate Majima would be recognisable to the masses. Ichiban, he's not as famous, and he's quite controversial. Like in Infinite Wealth at the beginning, he is basically an unregistered sex offender because he exposed himself in public. However, what you have to think about, real life Sega's also okay with hiring unregistered sex offenders, so I don't really think fake Sega would be any different. I think that Stranger Than Heaven will be the last game of Phase 1 out of the SCU, where we will see a big reveal that will kind of shape the future of the SCU. Some short Sega lore here. Sega was originally founded in 1960 as Japan Amusement Bussin'. However, in 1965, they rebranded to Sega and released their first video game in 1966. When you look at Stranger Than Heaven takes place over 50 years, with the last year being 1965, the year where Sega renamed themselves to Sega. I don't think Makoto Daito will end up being Makoto Tojo like everyone's been saying. However, I think this will be a big SCU revelation, and he'll be revealed as Makoto Sega, the founder of Sega. It'll be a bit like a Captain America kind of thing, where he's like the first SCU character who will be leading the charge in the future, just not right now. I hope Phase 2 of the SCU focuses more on Dodon Pa and how he contributes to the overall SCU, with it eventually being the Infinity Saga from the MCU, with it eventually leading to SCU Endgame, where Dodon Pa will finally be defeated after some big battle. I don't think Yakuza will appear too much in Phase 2. Obviously, it's pretty grounded in comparison to Dodon Pa and all that, and it doesn't really make sense on why the real-life Sega would be doing some shit to fake Sega until they realise something's wrong. Maybe Dodon Pa creates some sort of like multiversal like rift that leads to the real world or the Yakuza world, and that'll then lead into characters like Kiryu, Ichiban and Majima appearing in Phase 3, helping Sonic, helping Joker, helping II from Super Monkey Ball. I think that'll just be kind of what happens. The first game of this second phase of the SCU will be Persona 4 Revival, which isn't exactly the biggest, most exciting game ever, so unless it has some Dodon Pa lore, I wouldn't be shocked if they save most of it until either Sonic Frontiers 2 or Persona 6, where they'll go fully into him and how he's going to affect the multiverse and whatever his overall plan is. You might think what I've just said is a bit out there, but after Stranger Than Heaven releases, you will realise I'm right, you're wrong, and you'll be coming back here treating me like a gospel and going to ask me what's going to happen next. Thank you for listening. I only have 30 subscribers, so it would be really appreciated if you subscribe. Yeah, that's about it. Bye.